So just so you all know, we have Salt Lake City Mayor Jackie Biskupski. We have Maruxa Cardama, the chair of the 68th UN Civil Society Conference. We have the UN Undersecretary General for Global Communications, Alison Smale. And we have Rebecca Hardenbrook, who is a youth representative here for the conference. So I'm just going to quickly ask each of you to summarize how you feel about the plenary and how things are going so far. And go ahead and start, Catherine.
Yeah, so...
Be sure to speak up because they all have their mics.
Yeah, you're speaking this direction.
Great. Yes, so I just wanted to firstly express my gratitude for the great wealth of diverse thought that are here today at this conference, starting off the conference very strongly. The speakers were amazing, just getting everyone motivated. We really want to set the stage for the world to come to Salt Lake and have these discussions, not just speak to people, but to listen to others and have these collaborations be started. So I'm feeling very excited, very motivated. The youth had a wonderful youth hub this morning. We had a great representation from youth all around the world and some great discussion as well. So I'm only looking forward to better discussions over the next 3 days.
I concur with those impressions. And what was really great was to feel the energy of young people and the power of young people. Just seeing several hundred / a few thousand people gathered together like this is entirely different than debating this digitally, although I'm glad we also had a digital audience. We can't do without it. As Luke Mullen very carefully reminded us, we also had a wonderful, I thought, contribution from the business community in Salt Lake City with a guy who demonstrated why he had made the reverse journey from Europe to the United States and been able to climb here. So, and thanks once again to Mayor Biskupski.
You're welcome.
Well, my first impressions is that this is pretty impressive. I mean, we've spent a lot of months really putting this together under the leadership of the mayor and the DGC, the Department of Global Communications of the United Nations. And finally, we are here, and it's really remarkable to see all that energy in the room and that notion of hope. A third aspect that I think strikes me a lot is community. It's a very strong community that we have here in Salt Lake City that is very committed to the cause that we are exploring these days. And I felt a kind of a widened sense of community in the room this morning. Yes. And that I think is pretty inspirational. And part of it was because we managed to hear from governments at different levels, the private sector and civil society. Like, let's just stop this thing about we cannot work together. It was really great to see these three sectors working and talking and getting us started. So pretty inspirational so far.
Yeah, and the NGOs were at in the space as well. So for us in Salt Lake City, this is truly a historic opportunity. This conference has never been held on U.S. soil. In fact, no UN conference has ever been held on UN soil, or on U.S. soil. So we are very honored as a community to be the first to have this global conversation. And we are also very excited because we have historic numbers of people who are registered for this conference. We have people from 138 different countries that are registered for this conference, and almost every state in the U.S. is represented at this conference. So we are doing remarkable work in getting the world to this conference and having these bigger discussions that are truly needed. We must come together, and we must work diligently and efficiently and effectively and quickly if we are going to meet the needs of the world we live in today.
And we've been joined by Ali Mustafa. If you were at the plenary, you saw him on the stage. He's also one of the youth representatives. Did you hear the question, Ali?
No, I
just your first impressions of how it's going so far.
It is very beautiful. It is very diverse. I'm moved with the diversity and the way the people of Salt Lake City have welcomed the world, especially the mayor, the work she has done. I think you're the role model for the young people, and I would like to thank the people of Salt Lake City. The moment we arrived from the airport, so the welcome was from there, and we are taking Ubers and rides and going to the restaurants. Everyone is welcoming us. So it's a very wonderful feeling, and I'll talk about the first impression today. It's seeing the world coming at the Salt Lake City. It is so beautiful, so amazing that the people from all over the world, from of different colors, of different languages, of different cultures, they're coming together, sitting together, talking about, making a world a better place. So it is a very, very wonderful feeling, and I hope that this thing will develop over the next 3 days.
Yes.
So we'll go ahead and open the floor to any questions. Ben Winslow.
For the Undersecretary and the Chair, there was a lot of remarks in the opening plenary talking about pushing back against nationalism and intolerance and dealing with the climate change situation. What do you make of the United States' recent positions on this and the direction the U.S. is going on that?
If speaking for myself, I would like to just emphasize that we're here to discuss what the United Nations can contribute, and the United States certainly is a very important member of the United Nations, and it has contributed a great deal to discussions on all the topics that you name. But what I think we're in the business of here is to sort of bring groups together and see what strains of thought can we coalesce around. And we have emphasized that multilateralism remains increasingly important for the United Nations, and I think that's true for almost every country in the world too. And so far we haven't had rancor erupt over this. The best way to do anything, I'm sort of paraphrasing Nelson Mandela, is to sit down and talk.
I think that what I want to retain is that the United Nations and the United States of America is a very varied place. It's a very diverse place. And I think that it's probably quite topical right now to bring the incredible amount of action that subnational governments, local governments and state governments are doing in these topics of sustainability and climate action. Let's recall that they were the first ones to mobilize very quickly to show that they were still in the Paris Agreement. Yeah. And I would also like to say that we are not just one size fits all. We are not just one set of ideas. We are a diversity of ideas. And you might have noticed that in the room we had an excellent representation of Utah, Salt Lake City, and US citizens. So perhaps a call to the media as well to help us represent that variety of action that still persists and is still very powerfully committed in society in the different countries of the world.
So unless anybody else wants to address it, we'll get Christina.
I just want to ask, a lot of people that aren't in the building may not really be sure what's going on. So could you explain that for people who are going to watch our stories today? I mean, what is happening here that matters to everybody?
That question.
Sure, and I'd be happy to answer that. We are convening the 68th United Nations Civil Society Conference to have a bigger conversation about worldwide issues, whether it is climate change, it is recovery from war, it is about technology and infrastructure, all of these issues that people are facing all over the world, and how do we come together to create solutions and come to a place where everyone is part of that solution, that no one is left behind in the solutions, and that everyone's needs is a part of the solution. So I'm very excited to be convening this here in Salt Lake City because it is inclusive and because it is about the issues we are facing today all around the world.
If I could just add a follow-up quickly for Ms. Cardama or Ms. Smale, how does what happens here go back to the United Nations? I think people would like to understand that a little.
Well, there's an extensive process that has been going on for many months in which Maruxa has played a leading role in bringing everybody together with great skill and diplomacy. And the work is on outcome documents, which will then be presented to the President of the General Assembly, who is due here tomorrow, and will be here at the end of the conference. And that then will feed into the conversation in New York, particularly around the Secretary General's summit that he is having on climate, and also a special meeting with youth. So these themes are woven into the sort of rich tapestry that we try to weave every day at the United Nations. And this is how it will contribute to the overall picture. I don't know if you had more
Just
to
if I may add, this is really a unique space in the United Nations because it's the premier space for civil society engagement in the United Nations. And over the many decades that the conference has taken place, it's been really that conduit, that channel for the civil society voice into the United Nations processes. I think that this year is particularly timely. Alison, you just mentioned, of course, the big milestone events that are taking place in the context of the General Assembly in the coming weeks. There is also a summit that is going to be reviewing the Sustainable Development Goals. So not just Sustainable Development Goal 11 on cities and communities that we are having the honor of hosting here in Salt Lake City, but also the 17 Sustainable Development Goals. And it is the first time that heads of state and government are going to be reviewing those goals since they were adopted by them back in 2015. So it's quite a unique opportunity to be able to feed into that summit that is happening. There are two other things that I think are relevant as well. There is the World Urban Forum, which is the premier space for conversations around sustainable urbanization in the world, that is taking place in February next year in Abu Dhabi. The preparations are well underway, and one of the strategic partners of this conference is the United Nations Programme for Human Settlements, UN Habitat. So it's really also very topical for us to be able to look towards that moment in February next year. And last but not least, as you all know, in 2020, we are commemorating the 75th anniversary of the United Nations. And this is the first time in this process of warming up to that commemoration that civil society is going to be given the opportunity of discussing about it. We're going to have a thematic session about it tomorrow, isn't it? I'm looking here at Jeff, who knows the program in and out. So it is tomorrow. And that is pretty important. It's, again, another unique opportunity for us to really reflect about what is the role of civil society in multilateralism and how can multilateralism embrace it, support it and enable it. So pretty historic moments, if you want, again, milestones that we are fitting into thanks to being here together and the outcome documents that we are putting together.
And we know you may need to leave, Ms. Cardama.
Thank
so
you.
if want
Thank
to
you very
excuse
much.
Yourself. Are there any? Yes.
I just want to know why Salt Lake City was chosen. If this has never happened anywhere else in the U.S., why did you pick Salt Lake City?
Partly because Salt Lake City said, hello, we'd be interested.
Yes, my team and I have been working on all of these issues so diligently since I became mayor. And as you know, historically, I've been working on inclusivity for a very long time. But at the end of the day, we are the crossroads of the West, but we're also an international city. And we, as a community, we love to host the world. We're very good at it, and I think you'll find that out over the next few days. But the conversation was very important and really ran parallel to the work that we've been doing here as in my administration, whether it came to climate change or clearing the air or being a more inclusive city and working on infrastructure and affordable housing and reforming homeless resource opportunities and services. So at the end of the day, it goes back to that leaving no one behind. How do we really create a community that cares about everyone?
Well, I think, Salt Lake City has a proven track record. Look at the 2002 Olympics in hosting the world. And so it seemed natural. We worked very closely together, and it's been a lot of work, but really interesting. And we sincerely hope, as this morning's events already indicate, that we will have an occasion really suffused with both the American and the international spirit.
Poonam?
And I'm just wondering, what are some takeaways for those that are attending? You've got locals that are attending. You've got people that are coming from all over nationally, but also globally as delegates to attend this conference. What is the takeaway? What would you like them to walk away with as you're going through each of these sessions? What can they be thinking about and coordinating with people and talking to people about to then take away back to their home?
Somebody said this morning as we were opening the youth hub that it's important to make friends and to kind of move away from groups and others who you may know already, because here we have an opportunity for thousands of people to interact. And I think what one needs to focus on is gathering the energy of everybody here and thinking how can we act collectively as a result.
Yeah, the immense networking opportunity is truly extraordinary. And And also, what I think everyone is hoping is that not only will people who have come here learn and take away, but that we here have the opportunity to learn as well from this conference and have our own takeaways to help our own community and states across the country evolve in a much quicker fashion. And as you know, the mayors in this country are really taking on the work of inclusivity and climate change. And we're very grateful for that work, but we do want partnership at the federal level. At the end of the day, though, we are not going to wait, and the work needs to get done. And I'm hoping many people learn that they have a role in that.
If I could just perhaps ask Rebecca, what does she think is from the youth perspective?
Yes, so from the youth perspective, I really want to emphasize that people take away a feeling, a sense of community, so that we can unite together. We really, as the youth, are going to move into the future with the problems that we're experiencing now, and maybe how those progress into the future. We're going to have to deal with however they progress. So, and there's no other way to tackle these issues and to address these issues without coming together in our local groups, but also uniting as a global community and feeling the strength and the support of each other. So we're really hoping through the Youth Hub, but also through the Youth Climate Compact that we will be reading on Wednesday, that youth can start that united sense of being to tackle these issues.
So I'm going to attempt to get us back onto schedule, which means just 20 minutes late, and just take one more question, and then we'll go ahead and go down to the exhibit hall.
Mayor, I was wondering if you could talk about just why this is important from the U.S. perspective at a time when politics are really divisive right now on a national level, and some maybe like in states like Utah, where that aren't particularly known for progressive ideas as more of a conservative state. Why is it important for Salt Lake City to represent this diversity? Do we need to talk about that and kind of a national?
Yeah, you know, I think one of the most intriguing parts about this being in Utah is that sometimes the city and the state are not in alignment on inclusivity and what that looks like or feels like. But we have always been a welcoming state for immigrants and refugees, and the value and the importance of that is not lost on anyone. So there are moments when maybe we're not fully together, and that's what I'm hoping is we have a chance to learn from this experience as well, because we do get it. Maybe not always, but we do get the value and the importance of inclusivity, and that we all are part of this world we live in, and we are one. And that is a very important takeaway that I think will naturally evolve through the conversations over the next few days.